Anthony Sr, owner and operator of Anthony & Sons Brewing Company, Delaware, Ohio's only commercial beer-making establishment. I was just telling my wife Rosina here that the year 1870 has been very, very good to us. Many days we have reached our full production capacity of 80 barrels, which is approximately 2,500 gallons of ale. That might even be enough to quench the thirst of our esteemed visitors. N'est-ce pas, Rosina?
Don't be silly, Frederick.
Ah oui, ma chère. Rosina and I have shared 36 years of wedded bliss.
No. Frederick, we have been married for 38 years.
What happened to those other two?
A couple of years, not so good. I make the joke. I make the joke. Excuse me. You must excuse, please, my work clothes, but I was just down at the brewery making sure that we have enough barley and hops for this week's production. We have a wagon load of ale going to Marion, Ohio, I believe, on Tuesday, and later in the week we have a shipment going to Findlay, Ohio. But perhaps first I tell you a little bit about Rosina and me. We both were born and grew up in the small village of Fallsburg, which is in the Alsace-Lorraine region of France, which is not so far from the Rhine River and in around the Vosges Mountains. Very, very beautiful. But you know, the old country, always tumult, always turmoil. I not understand. Countries always fighting over lines on a map and borders. So in 1831, we decided to come to America, and we settled in Delaware, Ohio. And I am very proud to tell you that in 1840, I become a U.S. citizen. We opened a brewery, I think we opened the brewery in 1834, bringing with us from the old country the ancient art of making beer. Now, I tell perhaps a little history. I try not to bore.
Beer.
Monsieur here thought that I was finished. And he was so happy that he was clapping. Unfortunately, I have 5 more minutes of terrible accent to bore you with. In the old days, in the old country, monsieur, the task of brewing the beer was left to the housewife, who would brew the beer right in the home for the family. Now later there would be, each village perhaps might have what you call a communal brewery, where on an appointed day a citizen could go down and brew the beer for the family. And of course then in later years there were small commercial breweries in each village like we have here. I should note that as early as 1664, the famous brewer Hieronymus Haut opened a brewery in Strasbourg, France, which is only what, about half day's wagon ride from our small village. Now, unfortunately, the river that flows through Strasbourg kept flooding, so about 20 years ago, I think 1850, they had to move the brewery to a small nearby village called Kronenburg. But of course, you probably know that America has its famous brewers too. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both brewed their own beer right on their own plantations. Now, beginning in the 1800s, early 1800s, small breweries like ours began cropping up all over Ohio to meet the needs and tastes of a growing immigrant population, and perhaps to remind us a little bit about our homeland. Now, in those early years, we made what we call ales, but about the middle of the century, new and improved yeasts were invented and introduced, and we started making what we call lager, which is lighter and not so full-bodied and rich as the ales. I should probably note that during the war, to preserve the Union, the U.S. government levied a tax on beer of $1 per barrel. But as a good citizen, I was happy to help finance the war. After the war, we noticed that the preferred drink of the working man was no longer whiskey, but had become beer, which made us very happy. Today, in 1870, I think there are more than 400 small breweries like ours, all over America. And Rosina and I are very proud to say that we employ 7 men, and our children, Frederick Jr., Charles, Henry, Albert, and even our daughter, Rosanna, helps in the operation of the brewery. Now, as in most breweries, we make what we call strong ale and small ale. After we take the malt for the first batch, the strong ale, we rinse the grains, and we use that for the small ale. And because it has less sugar, it has less alcohol. So the small ale has 1 or 2% of alcohol. So it is a drink for everybody, young, old, and middle. But the strong ale can have 6-7% or more of alcohol. So it must be reserved for the adult and for the dinner table. As I always say, a meal without a beer is like a kiss without a mustache.
My dear Frederick, the saying is un repas sans vin est comme un jour sans soleil. A meal without wine is like a day without sunshine.
Oh, Rosina, you can keep your wine and your sunshine. Frederick Anthoni Sr. drinks la bière. Beer is healthful. Beer is nutritious. Beer is even cleaner and safer to drink than water. I quote you from the Town and Country Brewery book, London, 1851. Let's see. Here. It has been observed that the drinkers of malt liquor are more athletic and more robust than the drinkers of wine. I close my case. But I must caution you all, do not drink to excess. As I always say, everything in moderation, including moderation.
Oh, Frederick.
Did the missus drink beer?
Yes, we love it.
Well, I invite you all to come down to the brewery on South Sandusky Street at Spring Street, and I will show you how we make the beer. It is a fine location. I can look north to the center of town, and I see a new 2-story brick building at 12 North Sandusky Street. That is the new offices of the Delaware Gazette newspaper, probably built with some of my advertising dollars. And I can look across the street and up the hill, and I see the growing Ohio Wesleyan University. As you probably know, it was founded by local Methodist minister, the Reverend Adam Poe, and some other worthy citizens, when they purchased the old Mansion House Hotel, once a popular health resort and spa with its sulfur springs and so on. But now it is an institution of higher learning, and I am very happy to report that, like the Lutherans, the Methodists are very good customers.
I was going to ask.
But I see by my pocket clock that I have probably bored you too long and I should get back to my bookkeeping. As I always say, beer waits for no man.
Time waits for no man.
Oui, ma chère. Rosina, she is 1 year older than me, and so she must have superior knowledge. I defer to her. You have been a most enjoyable, attentive, and handsome group of people. I thank you for your attention. I say to you au revoir for now, and à votre santé. Thank you very much. Thank you. Merci, merci, merci.